Waiting the final results of an historic vote by Israel's parliament, the Knesset, on a new coalition government. You see the debate ongoing right now in the Knesset. That vote is expected to end historic Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's 12-year term as Prime Minister. Yaakov Katz, editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post, is in Jerusalem and joins us now with this momentous move. Yaakov, Prime Minister Netanyahu, legendary, a giant, a looming giant in Israel politics and world affairs. What does this potential change mean for Israel and the Middle East?
Well, Eric, I think that whether you love him or you hate him, as Bibi, that's how Benjamin Netanyahu is known here, that's his nickname. He is a man who has done great things for the state of Israel, whether it's the vaccination campaign that we recently saw here in Israel, where the country basically defeated COVID-19, or the Abraham Accords that brought normalization and peace with the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Sudan, Morocco, and well as keeping Israel safe throughout a long period of time, the lowest number of casualties that we've seen. But with that said, this prime minister in recent years has turned into one of the more divisive politicians that Israel has known, undermining some of the basic fabric of what the delicate fabric that our democracy is based on, attacking the judiciary, the police, and the media. And that's what brought about this change coalition, as it's been called, that eventually, if this vote passes in the next hour or so, will have brought him down and an end to his 12-year reign in power.
Tell us about that coalition and Naftali Bennett, son of two Americans. He's been a guest here many times on our program, a tech entrepreneur who lived in New York. Who is Naftali Bennett? And that it's a pretty thin coalition, though.
Eric, I call it the Kaleidoscope Coalition because it's a coalition that's made up of parties from the right, from the left, from the center. It has, for the first time in Israeli history, the active participation of an Arab Islamist party, which, by the way, is a great thing for Israel, Eric. All Israelis should want to see the active participation of representatives of the 20% minority of Israeli Arabs in the coalition governments. That's a good thing. Bennett himself is, as you mentioned, a successful high-tech entrepreneur. He sold a company back in 2005 for about $150 million. He had some other exits along the way. He entered politics in 2012, 2013, and he climbed his way to the top. Right, this wasn't an easy career for him. There were a lot of obstacles. It was a roller coaster. Just in the first of these four recent elections, the one in April 2019, he found himself outside the Knesset. Right, he didn't make it across the electoral threshold, but he was able to claw his way back when Israel went to a second election in September 2019. He then was able to become defense minister, and with that, he was able to be basically the pivot that went whichever way this coalition would come. So either he was going to be the key to the change coalition that would bring down Netanyahu, or he held the keys to allow Netanyahu to hang on and take the country to a fifth election. He decided to use that leverage to make himself prime minister, even though he only really has 7 seats in the Knesset. That's an amazing feat in of itself. But it will also mean, Eric, that this is going to be a very, very difficult coalition to manage. It's fractured ideologically. It's made up of a lot of different parts. It'll be difficult to see how long it lasts, but it brings this change, which is taking Netanyahu out of office, and now we have to wait to see what they actually are able to get done for the country.
And finally, a minute left. What will Netanyahu do now? I mean, he'll be the leader of the opposition. Do you expect him? He's not going to fade away.
I don't think Netanyahu is going to fade away. If you listen to his speech just about an hour ago in the Knesset, he said in English, "We'll be back," right? He plans to come back. He's going to stay the leader of the opposition and hope that this coalition falls apart. He'll be able to sweep back in and pick up the pieces. That's what he's hoping for, and to remind everyone why he is needed, because he can't count on anyone else. That is Netanyahu's strategy at the moment. He also wants to stay leader of opposition because he believes, as his corruption trial and charges of bribery, fraud, and breach of trust continue, he believes that staying in a position, even as leader of opposition, that's an official role in Israeli government, he'll have more leverage over court, and he prefers to go to the court hearings as a member of Knesset as opposed to just being a regular citizen of Israel.
Yeah, all right, we'll see what happens. That vote expected in a few hours. Yaakov Katz, editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post. Yaakov, thank you.